between evil and good. They came here to Earth, caught in their struggle through the whole unit. Robotic warriors.
Receptor, welcome to Transformers for your listening pleasure. TFYLP for short. Join us and discuss the latest in Transformers fandom. And now, here is Weird Wolf. Now, where the chorus stop? Ratchet, can you take the chorus stop?
Only the strong will survive. All I want.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Transformers for your listening pleasure, episode number 125, recorded this evening is Plasticon.
It's only been a week, yet again.
Hello.
And Baricey. We also have a very special guest with us this week, Mr. Rik Alvarez.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me on. It's quite the honor.
We're trying a little bit different setup. We are broadcasting live on YouTube as usual. You can probably see we have a different look, kind of trying to improve our quality overall, and we hope that you guys enjoy it. And Facebook and Twitter, and so without further ado, let's get right into the meat here for tonight. We're here to talk with Mr. Alvarez, Play With This Too, and the startup that company. Rik, you want to bit about you and your to Play With This Too, and then us a little bit about the company itself. I know it's
absolutely.
a big bite.
Well, I'm brunette, and I'm just over 6 feet tall, 200. So I was the creative manager for a couple years. I was in charge, along with a few other people, namely Aaron Archer, and we were the guys who were them. We were the front lines for our story. We worked with a number of different, like the Collectors Club, Jagex, NetDragon, Division, IDW. We worked with the design studios, Michael Bay, and all good things. It comes to an end at some point, and during the crack team of experts made up of all guys who are either freelance ex-Hasbro employees, and we kind of set out on a mission to say, hey, we can still do this on our own, and we're going to make what we want to make, and it's just going to be as good as what everybody else makes. And that's how we got to Play With This Too.
There's no reason why it can't. Now, I've seen some preliminary sketch pieces that you intend on the Pretenders line, some creative names for a character.
Well, if any of our characters kind of look like something is indicative of something else, it's when I talk to our designers, I tell them, look, you guys have free reign. Make it. You can do it in the style that you want to make it, but these general parameters, and be as cool as I see it. These guys are kind of off the chain, and they don't have to design something, see it the way it should be, and worry about cost and paint apps and how much it would cost for packaging.
The typical things that, like at Hasbro and Takara, the typical constraints of have budget-wise to work on for a line of toys. Let's say, for example, Transformers Prime. You know, there was this character, but it just wasn't, or because of, you know, you had so many characters that had to come out. Do you not have that kind of constraint, or?
Well, when you talk about the indie toy market, I think that to collectors who are demanding a certain product, a certain quality, and when you have the versus like these big corporations like, say, Hasbro, that are trying to appeal to a people, and sometimes I'm not even sure they know who they're appealing to. it's primarily, they would say, to kids. And designed things that, hey, it can only have this much, it can have this much parts, has to be, it has to fit in a packaging that's designed like this, and it's got to ship by this date. Those kind of constraints don't exist for us. We've been working, the things that you guys are seeing is stuff that's been designed for quite a while already, for you leading up to our Kickstarter in February. So you don't have to design something thinking, all right, well, this has to week. I just got to get it. No, we're able to take our time with it. We're able to talk about it. We shoot ideas back and forth, and then if someone comes with a design change a couple of weeks or a couple of months down the road, it's cool. We'll throw it in there.
Laws, for example, sharp edges, small parts. I wrote a blog, like third party versus release toys. Some of the main differences that we see, like toy design, that typically we see in official design. Now that's not all. I mean, sometimes official ones can really, like, wow, I can't believe they, but taking into consideration there are, said the general target market. And if there's a possibility that a kid can go into, say, Toys R Us and buy this toy and take it home, the indie toy market really doesn't have to worry about that. It's direct to consumers.
It's accurate. It applies to us. I know. Look, I'm around toys all day. My kids come in here. They can take anything off my desk. So the crest on the top of someone's helmet is a little too sharp. We've played with this too, at least. If that's what you're trying to get at.
Well, I was just
personal standpoint.
Yeah. Well, I
wouldn't make something that's like a sharp.
Had releases that the points are like rather sharp. Brycey may even have something that's handy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mastermind Creation Seeker props. They're very had like a fragile kind of feel to them. Not saying they were
fragile.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Some of them kind of felt that way, but I mean, I completely on when it comes to the safety law thing. Myself, to see no more rocket punch, no more firing missiles, things friction fire. I would like to see spring-loaded gimmicks come back, knocks them down. That's cool. And
when you're talking about action figures, I don't like to see those big bulky weapons that are very gimmicky, because typically what with those is people fall into these traps where, okay, the Rise of Cobra G.I. Joe toy line, all these figures had a huge weapon that was a missile launcher, and those were for kids. You know what? I troop build. I have 80 of those Cobra Vipers that look like Destro. One of those up, that weapon went right in the recycling. Because to me, it's not something that is to the fantasy of that figure for me.
Dark of the Moon.
Personally, I as big, bulky missile launchers that are spring-loaded, or the friction one. I'd rather just have a really cool figure that has a lot of detail on the weapon.
I agree with that. Like, myself, being a Generation 2 fan, honestly, the only time I ever saw, like, the gimmicky work were, like, like the one, like, the little disc, like, rotors you'd fire, be designed the size it was. If it was a missile launcher, or it was just a plastic stagnant gun, I'm behind that. I think that's actually to give somebody a gimmick weapon, give them something that's an actual gimmick, not just attached because you're trying to swallow it kind of thing. Go back to like the small plastic guns that they. Same thing with the swords and stuff. That stuff's cool because it adds a little bit more to the figure versus just getting a figure without any accessories.
Yeah, I'm detail, and our figures, they're gonna have a lot of detail. They're going to have a lot of detail, and they're also going to have a lot of 5mm ports. So anything that has a 5mm port, whether it's a BMOG or a transformer or whatever other tool, you'll be able to take our weapons and plug them into other figures too. So
Now,
I think the only place we'll lose detail is with the 5mm and the pegs, but they're designed that they're almost part of it, if that makes sense.
Talking about the handles?
The little pegs that you plug into.
There's anyone over that.
Like the Armada line, there's kind of pegs all over the place that don't need to be there on our figures. They're designed into it where the pegs were. On that figure, there's not too many pegs on him because it just would take away of them. With a character like Astroblast, you can have a lot of where you put those 5mm holes.
Being a Pretender's line, going to be just like a figure that you buy of that and doesn't have an inner robot, an inner robot gimmick or something that maybe a backpack or something. How are you handling that aspect? Or is
figures? There's nothing, just plastic, and each character small tech drone. Now the tech drone comes apart and say the wings can become a shield, the nose cone blaster, the legs are backpack boosters on the character's back. So it won't have an inner robot, but it has a robot companion.
That's
multiple things.
Sounds
that just sounds awesome. I mean, I would love to see your take on like a version of maybe Metal Hawk or something. It'd be really sick to see like an aircraft that disassembles and then just mount him to make him like a flying version of something cool like that. I actually think that's really, especially with it having like a lot of articulation and getting some pretty crazy action too.
I can tell you, I assure you, I don't know who that character is. But
yeah,
we have another character who does that, where there's some really cool jet wings on it, and then the jet wings can come off, and you can put that onto a small tech. It's just totally, it's
awesome. Now,
can't wait to see.
I totally lost my train of thought.
I asked it was about the aesthetics of the ports and everything, but it is kind of interesting. Your take on it is not so much shell, but that the robot is an accessory of sorts.
Yes.
Because you said drone, correct?
Yeah, they're our little robot companions. They're tech drones. Now, there is going to be fiction involved.
That was my next question.
Who's creating the fiction for us? And I certainly hope that some extra looks and some people take us a little more. We got some big players on it. So these tech drones, they're fun individual characters. I would say they're very similar to BMOGs in style. BMOGs because it's all 5mm. And little tech drone, you get a robot, you get a vehicle, and then that vehicle comes apart. Multiple accessories that are interchangeable with other characters. So there's a huge playability factor with those little tech drones.
Now, is there going to be like the conversion of the figures? Will they? I know that you said some parts will be able to be reattached in different forms, but will be the type of figure that will combine like battle modes and
I get what you're saying. No, it'll be like that. You got to take all these different weapons in a robot, or you assemble them into the vehicle.
Like a mashable type. You know, you could take like the head off of.
I would say it's a small where I can take this guy's arms and this guy's or this guy's chest and like this guy's weapon, and some of them share tooling too as well. So you might see two guys sharing the same set of legs.
Well, go ahead.
One question I do have, because I mean, most tackling anything like the ultras, like the larger ones, where There's might be like a bigger vehicle, small guy that's articulated that goes to a like little tech drone, maybe attaches onto there or something like that. Any dreams of that coming about?
I think cool ideas and some cool designs, and I think there's something akin to a Build-A-Figure.
Now, the figures that you have designed right now that are like interchangeable parts, is that going to be only offering, or do you plan on expanding beyond, the action figures and maybe or anything like that, or do you have what long? If you can share them, I understand. There are things you can't tell us about, but I mean, like long range plans. Like, I'm trying to ask a question that
we'll have about 10 characters, and then there'll be some of the be remolds of other characters, and then we're additional characters that will be repaints. Some might be better, some might be maybe Kickstarter exclusive. You can only get, say, a guy who looks like Astra Black. I don't know, maybe he's green and orange. Beyond that, there are additional plans for more figures that would be, and beyond that, I would say we've engaged a few potentially looking to get a license, maybe in the year 2016. It's a possibility. But there's no plans right now, a vehicle or a playset.
Okay. I think pretty much what I was trying to ask. I understand there's certain things to tell us about, or you don't want to tell us about, because the research and development isn't even a lot of things, I would imagine. So,
well,
you don't want
as I said, we've been working on this for a year, so a lot more done than people might think. And there's a lot of time between now and in stages, and show people a little bit at a time, and hopefully that will generate enough hype. Our Kickstarter launch, everybody wants to check it out.
Well, you've shown Desolator, and the buzz has already exploded. I mean, I know Facebook and the excitement is high, and just you've only shown 2.
Well, I would say that it's probably a combination of who we are, guys who are well known amongst different fandoms, and I would say that are nothing like any other indie toy company has tried to do. I think there's a special uniqueness to them that is going to catch on.
Talk a little bit about the people behind the scenes that you can talk about right now. I know you said that people that have not been announced yet, so those, but the ones that have talked about, or you can talk about a little bit about who is on board with you right now.
All right. Well, we just announced this week Mr. Ken Christensen, who's amazing work. He was one of the first guys I worked with when I was at Hasbro. We worked on has the whole universe for Transformers laid out. A lot of that art was reused for the conventions where he has unique prints for sale. He's worked with studios. He's done a lot of the art that we for the initial pitch for Dark of the Moon and Revenge of the Fallen and Age of Extinction. He was the first artist on Prime before there ever was a studio. He did a lot of the mood setting pieces, and he's also helped stuff too. So Ken is amazing talent that I'm happy to have. Mark Wong is a guy who's worked on a number of mini-mates. He's done, in fact, I think he might have done all of them. He's also worked on some Thundercats statues. So who is a fan of Transformers, and that's how I met him. This is a guy who has worked on Transformers, not for Hasbro, but licensee. Then you get into and Steve is a shy individual. He's but there's just raw talent on every boy's tours. G.I. Joe, World, Robin Hood.
Wow.
He's worked on lines. And Steve has this ability to just on the next day. and he'll just like, here, like, yeah, it's done, and we've got you read our minds exactly what we want. And he's one of those guys. I think he was at Hasbro for 28 years. And sometimes they lay people off, and I just don't understand why. I mean, I don't know. I can't explain it, but this man is pure, unfiltered talent.
The things, I mean, I even in my line of work, go and people with lots of experience, and they'll come in and they'll last a few years, and they're let go. And I'm like, what? Why would you let somebody with that much experience go? It doesn't. We sometimes do things from a financial point that we just don't agree with, but behind the scenes it makes sense, and that's tough.
I mean, some numbers.
Yeah.
When my department was cut off at Hasbro, there was guys who had been there for a year, or maybe moved from California. They moved their families, their wives, their children, houses in Rhode Island of all beautiful scenes, and they were let go. It's hard for me to, and you believe in them enough to Rhode Island, and then you just let them go. That breaks my heart.
It is what they done. I'm sure there is a reason.
It's any company.
10 months now, and I've already seen it there. And, I mean, given what happened to me, I mean, I drive a semi-professional. Last year, I nearly perished in a semi-accident. I drove wheels off of a bridge, and it's something that I have to deal with on a personal level. And from a company point, I was actually amazed. The company that I work for stepped out and said, "Yeah, they might have been just desperate, but we'll hire you." And I'm still there. They my work. They say I'm efficient, and they keep me on. But yet, then I see somebody that's come in from another company that's done way more than I have. I've got over 10 years experience doing what. And then I see somebody that come in that's got 30 years experience. We're going to have to let you go. And then they bring somebody in with a lot less. And I don't agree with that.
That you might understand that.
Well, I mean, I can see where you're going with that, Ron. I mean, it's understandable with the industry being toys and the film industry. That are talented, but if that talented person is getting more money than they're able to offer, they're going to let go. That, or if they're there for so long that it's getting to do bring in anybody new, they're going to be more intimidated by how great these other people are. Sometimes that causes them to get rid of the veteran people as well. But that's where, like Rik has, and these guys, they're banding together to build their own toy line, and they sell it elsewhere. Well, and that's how it works.
Exactly.
It works that way with guys that draw comics. It works that way with anybody that does movie. Same thing in every industry. My hat's off to you, Rik, for doing that.
I'll tell you something else about our group. I'm the youngest group. I'm 35, and I'm the youngest guy. I can understand how to try and start your career again as a freelancer or trying to get hired. Company, especially in the toy industry, since we're talking about toys, so many people get let go from not just Hasbro but Mattel. It's just the market's flooded with people. So where do some of these people go? And I think coming together and trying to start your own thing and saying, "Hey, let's do it our way," and kind of show people that it is the way to go. And I kind of want to do right by these guys. And, some of these guys are. I'll tell you, one of these guys is a personal hero of mine. I just want to do right by him. And that's why I give them the autonomy to the way they want to create. They can, they have the Headshot series, which is a series of interchangeable heads. They can create whatever heads they want of anything in the world that they want to create. And it's like the world.
I mean, it's like you said, you know, I mean, you can't expect, you know, whenever, you know, if you're let go with one company, that doesn't mean, well, I'm done. I pack up my bags and go home and do something. I go and do whatever. Not have the desire to do that, but if your forte, if your skills are in the toy industry, that it only makes sense to apply them elsewhere.
That's looking at this as, all right, this is not so to make money, because one of our goals is to make this as affordable as possible, pass on retailers, so those retailers can in turn pass on those savings to the consumer, them as cheap as possible for the consumer, because a lot of these indie toys, they are real expensive dollars for one figure, and to me that kind of shows that there's an imbalance, and there needs to be some balance brought back into the equation. We want to make these as cheap as possible, as affordable as possible for to purchase, so that we can in turn take that successful. So let's talk about it in these artists, because they can do this for us. So this is more hey, let's make a bunch of money on our project.
Right, and to me, it sounded almost like a love letter.
Hey guys.
Hey, sorry. I do apologize, listeners. My Skype crashed, me clicking things. But I do apologize for everybody gets back in the call here. Now, Plasticon, you were in the middle of action. Is he back in here?
He has to get back on the call.
Yeah.
And we're
see here. Okay.
Brett.
Well,
So are we still broadcasting right now?
We are still broadcasting right now, though.
I'd like to say the show was brought to you by Yellow Cup. Yellow Cup. It's made.
Okay, I don't.
I'm talking with Brett on.
Okay, it won't let me. Or Plasticon. I don't see him. while we're doing that, let's talk a little bit about, if you can, about your work at Hasbro. Some of your favorite memories of working at Hasbro and favorite things that you can say that you worked on there.
That you're allowed to talk
see. All right, so we started working on an MMOG for China, and I created this whole big binder, and Aaron Archer had given me complete autonomy to conceive of characters and stories, MacGuffins, weapons, and to assemble them all together into NetDragon to show them, hey, this is the world that they inhabit, and this is ideas and how you can use that world for what you're making. And because I had taken the lead on that, like a week floor after floor of digital artists, backgrounds, guys creating plans, launched in China yet. That was 3 years ago.
Oh, than Google Plus. Can you
trying to figure out the it's other than it's a little clearer, it's annoying. Can you add?
Trying to get them back.
I got the other two calling. Is he still there?
Yeah. Remove from group. Add him back in.
Most of my best memories was from something else. So, hey, he's back. Skype sucks.
Yeah.
Pick up the hangout, dude.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
This is 2 weeks
we are still broadcasting. So let's see here. Let me hang up the other one. Hold on. Hey, Bryce.
Bryce is not here, dude.
No, I've
It's just us
tried to go back over to him. Hold on. And I'll invite you to the other one. We've got another one going.
Okay.
With something, I will yell for my wife to come and fix things.
Wow.
Like if
Did we
I'll
put a
just
thing
yell
up
for her.
on the private, or not on the private group, on the public group to let it happen?
Well, I'm trying to get things going here, so no.
Okay. Up.
What's going on here? Okay. We should be able to get in there. Turn him in
Done.
here
Brycey on here?
as well. Massive.
It's all good. See, and he fell off. I don't know what's going on. He's trying.
Well, we do know where I can edit out. But, in the audio download version. But anyway, let's do this while we're Plasticon. If you can try to keep us in, I'll continue the interview here, and then we can continue on. We were talking about China and.
Well, one of the best memories I had from Hasbro was actually not being at Hasbro. We were ready for our meeting. And it's like 5 o'clock. We're like, oh, okay, we're meeting kind of late today, and waiting around. And turns out these guys are all in U.S. all like 20-year-old and 25-year-old, and till like midnight, 1 a.m. So on U.S. time, because they're all working through Mountain Dew, which is apparently a thing in China. So it's like this 30 course, and then they're like, all right, let's go back and talk. So after this huge meal, we had to go talk, and I think by 4 a.m. we were just like, all right,
We're beat.
So we had to get adjusted back to U.S. tool. So I got a free trip to China on Hasbro.
Awesome. Now, talk a little bit about you as a collector. While we're still getting these guys on, as a Transformers fan, character.
I am a huge Beast Wars fan. When Beast that was like revolutionary for them. They actually looked like when I started collecting 2 of everything. So from that point up until I've been collecting at least 2 of everything. And then if there's a variant, so my cases are just filled with just got shelves of boxed figures, carded figures, and it's just so much stuff. It's just so much stuff. But I got the Decepticon and the Predator, just like Ravage did in the season 2 finale of Beast Wars.
Awesome. So, would you say Ravage is one of your favorite characters, or?
I would say, look, my favorite is always going to be Optimus. The story revolves around him. No matter what people, yes, you can have side adventures involving other characters, but at the end of the day, he's Batman, and it comes back to Batman. So you can have your Nightwing adventure, your Bumblebee adventure, have your Windblade over here, and your Ruckers over there. It all connects back to Optimus, and good always wins, even when they lose. Optimus is just that heroic character.
So the burning question here is, or monkey?
I am a truck guy, but I have a lot of love.
The
monkey is what's without Beast Wars, there wouldn't be Transformers the way we know it today. Whether you like Beast Wars, there wouldn't have been those movies if Beast Wars hadn't existed.
100%, I agree. And Optimus Primal, he was such a great back in the early days before we even went with YouTube, full of stories. I mean, I'd love to have again, just for the wealth of stories that he has. But him as Optimus Primal, you just can't compare. I mean, Peter Cullen is to me the best Optimus Prime, and I know that Larry Chalk did Optimus Prime in the Unicron trilogy and everything, but Optimus Primal in Beast Wars and Beast Machine, people I think that actually likes Beast Machines, with the exception of Night Scream. Cliff.
I do love Beast Machine Viacons, and I always wanted to find a way to get Viacons back in, and that's how we got the Viacons in Prime. From we needed army builders. I'm like, the Viacons.
Yeah. But it's got a jet fan going on.
That's Bryce.
And listeners, we do apologize. Scott crapped out. And minutes to get everybody back on. We did continue to broadcast calls here, but we are going. Let's get back to Play With This 2. Is there anything that you want to Play With This 2?
Well, we are not just about figures. We're also going to offer some incredible art from the fandom and kind of bring them into the fold. So who have questions about design, who are artists, who are painters, who are sculptors, email us at designs@playwiththis2.com. And we've had email us pretty much every day. There's a couple of guys that from those emails that will potentially be working with us in some capacity. And there's artists in the fandom who I met at a convention not too long ago. And I've signed her, and who just because she has been in the industry before doesn't mean she's not qualified or not good enough to work with guys who have. So our first fan member, the first person on the team, not work with Transformers in an official capacity. So we're reaching out to the community, and we want to be part of this. So it's not just going to be recruiting people. Like we'll announce her and show some cool art that she's done in the future. But we also do those headshot series. So right now, well, how else can we get fans involved? And thinking of having some fans design some one-of-a-kind headpieces that we can run them for this. We're not asking anyone to do anything for free for us. So it's just about us. It's about all of us.
Awesome.
So it's like anybody that's a designer that really likes what is being done here and really enjoys toys and that kind of fiction and that kind of art.
I think it's for anyone who's a Horse collector, who's a Marvel Legends collector, who just likes cool, be creative. And this is to maybe for the only time in their lives actually.
Question. It's very obvious that this line of figures that you are creating is the collector market. How do you intend market these or distribute these? I guess through vendors like online stores.
There is a plan in place. We'll first come to Kickstarter and determine what the future lies for us, because it's going to be a little bit tougher. It's going to be a lot tougher. The money we need to make the tools. So Kickstarter first place, and then post Kickstarter, we've been hit up by all the usual suspects. Online retailers that sell these specialized toys. They've all reached out to us telling us, we want to carry your product. When can we have it? When can we have it? Can you show us? So we won't sell anything directly to the consumer. We'll have exclusives on our websites that we will sell directly. Nothing major, nothing real expensive, just things. But everything else will be through all the major retailers.
Okay. if you were to let's say, I'm sure you're familiar with Matty Collector and their line of like classics, where is basic. It's kind of a subscription service, yeah. Doing something like that, or in the future, or is that like a, or is it just
that? Logistically speaking, that's a lot of people. So that would be tough to keep that record of credit cards that's secure, processing those orders, keeping track of who's moved, and it's just it's a logistical nightmare that I never wanted done. Okay. You have a definitive answer on that.
So, to defer from actually it being an exclusive that you yourself would have to manpower to do, would you be opposed to maybe selling it through one specific toy store for one kind of line that's like a couple that you make that are just designed a certain way for one only, say, online retailer or something like that?
Well, we've already been approached by conventions and retailers who have asked us about that. What exclusives can you give us, and when can you give it to us? So there are options available to any retailer who says, "Hey, what do you think is a cool idea? Hey, we have a cool idea. Is that something you guys want to do for us?" Or, we have lots of ideas, lots of plans. We just got to get through that Kickstarter. Without that Kickstarter, it's going to change everything for us.
You have a question for?
I was just once with the tech drones. Do you have so far?
Everything with a tech drone. Now there might be some readers or Kickstarter exclusives. Those may not. Probably the troop builders will not. Original character, your new character will have a tech drone.
Well, I got a question. The tech drones, then how they're change. We can't use the T word, but how they change.
Well, I don't think anyone owns information, but
we'll go with transformation. Yeah, let's go with that.
So before you answer that, while we're talking, I do have a image of astroblast.com showing on the screen for the viewer. So if you want to reference that, they're actually looking at it as you're talking.
Okay. Well, I don't see which one is actually on there.
It's the with the blue whip.
Oh, okay. So the colored image.
Yes.
All right. So whip is a 5mm port, so that'll plug into a number of places on the figure. It also works as a hose, so it can connect to the back of the figure and then to the tech drone if it's sitting on the back of it, kind of like a fuel hose almost. That weapon that Astroblast is will actually become the nose piece of the jet mode for the tech drone. So that'll be the nose piece of it. There's another part which I don't think is shown in that image. It's his shield, and that shield is made up of the wings, and that will come off the wing parts. And you have your chest, which has the head and the legs. That can fold up, that can go on the back, that can go on the arm if you want. You can attach those to. So you can take that tech drone completely apart and deck out your character in extra weapons and booster packs.
Okay, that's well. I was going to ask you what your thought was about that are 100% against parts forming, and what your response would be to people that don't like that.
Well, I look at it as how cool does it look on my shelf, and how much fun is it to play with. So for me, it's a lot of fun to be able to pose my guy in a number of ways, just give him whatever weapons I want to give him. And it's also cool just to have him standing in the weapons on, or just a few weapons, and just have his little companion next to him. Forming has never bothered me. I think it's something that if it's done correctly, it can be cool.
Now,
I can see what you're saying about less
could be possibly less kibble, more posability, less bulkiness, stuff like that. But you see what I'm saying? There's always two sides of the coin. Some want perfect transformation, but they don't like all the bulkiness. Hey, I'll take the parts forming as long as more articulation, it looked better, more aesthetics.
I'm a details guy, so I like to see details. And let's say if you had a shell, then you put something inside of it, you're going to lose a lot of that engineering. It's not going to be an action stand next to your Marvel Legends or your Star Wars. It's not going to have that same feel to it. So engineering kind of restricts what you can and can't do. Same goes for a little tech drone. Yeah, you create something that's flawlessly transformed. What's it going to look like in jet mode? Well, it's going to look cool in jet mode and then be in robot mode? Is it going to look cool in robot mode and then look like a meth mode? I'd rather just have stuff that assembled, it looks cool, whether it's a jet, whether it's or whether it's parts on a bigger guy. I just want it to look and feel awesome in your hands.
Now,
so
the image that I do have that I'm sharing right now is the images of Desolator, where it is outlines, and then you also legs attach in and everything.
That's meant to show the potential articulation for it.
Now, do you intend on ball and sockets, or or is it just going to be pegs and hole?
There's going to be some ball and socket joints. There'll be some hinge joints. It's not will be the same. Some designs require a jointed elbow, some don't. But the legs are ball jointed. There'll be a ball joint on the head. And, we're actually in the middle. Today, actually, we had about the rest of the articulation.
Exactly how big these figures are going to be. That's a major question most collectors are going to want to know. Is this thing as big as maybe the original Pretenders, or is it smaller, or what is it?
Where we going to get masterpiece size?
They are 6 inches tall. So their heads pop off. I'm using the Skeletor figure as an example. When their heads pop off, you'll be able to take their heads, put it on your He-Man character or your larger character. So those 6-inch toys, a lot of them share very points for the neck. So you'll be able to take those heads and switch them around, and that's kind of what the head is. It's just a collection of cool-looking heads.
Now, I'm
they'll
actually
come painted.
Sharing that image right now.
You'll be able to put them. Yeah, you'll be able to put them on your figures, and they're cool for Skywalker. And you want to put a female. We're making one, so that's maybe that one's for you. And then, of course, all those extra characters as well. Okay.
Now, I do ask the question. I'm sure a lot of fans out there are. And whenever I saw the names that some of these have been, or I guess some of them may be just preliminary names, but it's Close Your Ears, Skullfucker.
Yeah, so I saw that. All right, so the headshots, the guys have complete autonomy when it comes to design, and Steve Redinger handed in his set of headshots, and I looked at names with it and was like, I really want to show this at RetroCon. I really want to have it at the booth. So I had to come up with names. So there was a pilot, female pilot. I said, that's Madwing. My daughter's name is Madeline Wing, and her call sign will be Madwing. So that's how you get that name. So that was easy. Let's call him Terrible. Mm-hmm. And then I saw this head, and I just don't know what to make. What the inspiration is behind it. I've never seen anything like it before.
It almost has a Predator look to it, but I mean, it has horns, which the Predator didn't have.
Yeah, like Diablo or something.
Yeah.
Not a gamer. I have never played that game before, but I've never seen something like this on the figure, and I'm like, man, that just looks like a mean, evil creature that's fuck yeah. And that's kind of how I'm responsible for that name. So if you on someone or applaud them, hey, that would be me.
And I like that, and it also shows you that you're risks because it's obvious that with a name like that there are certain fans, different fandoms that would actually not appreciate that, but the product you're going to buy it anyway, regardless of what it's named. So personally, I think it's very willing to go out there and do things that just isn't necessarily whoa.
If there ever was a blade and there was like a shell figure base, I think we'd have to make that, if we were going to do something that was inspired by food or something that harkens back to that, I think we'd have to do something that just to do in the 80s, and that was just make them African American. Because I think that who that character was and the voice behind that character. So not everything is the way we want to change them, design them the way we want to design them. So I make no apologies.
Well, I don't personally. I don't think there's anything to apologize about. Now you've got Headshots Volume 2. I'm not sharing this image right now, but you have Blackjack, Moon Unit, and Zando. Yep. Zando almost has a Hammerhead look to it. It's very alien, but yes, it's very Hammerhead sharp. Well, I'll go ahead and share it here.
So what I like about the headshots is I think they work really guy in a suit. You don't know what's underneath. And you can just pop that human head off or that robot head, and you've got your alien Zandu head. Or you got your skullfucker head. Or you've got that female fighter thing. Or you can take your head off the Desolator and pop it on. I think that there's going to be a lot of play.
Yeah.
People make weapon packs, like Mattel making weapon packs for your figures. Well, that's cool, but no one's ever really just, there's a cool set of heads for you guys. No one's ever really done that before. Yeah, there's been a couple heads here in this degree. There's going to be a lot of headshots that will
thing with maybe the arms or legs, so that way maybe you can give one of them like a robotic peg leg, or maybe give them like hook hands and swap out as well.
Well, the hands will changeable, so they'll be different hands, and they'll work with 5mm weapon and stick it in, so he can have his arm form a gun. Get weapon of mastery. I don't know. So as far as interchangeable legs,
thank you, Brett. Awesome sound effect there.
That wasn't me.
Was it something I said?
No. Wow.
Jeez.
Do apologize.
Oh God.
A Facebook listener, he show right now, and he commented that he wants an awesome name. Crap.
Well, we can't take ideas from fans to them, so I think he just kind of crapped on that idea.
Oh. Bum bum ba Yeah.
We need those sound effects.
Actually, I have them. I just don't have them on cue.
You know what's funny about this figure in the deluxe line? I had that soundbite ready to go.
Nice. We actually used to use that quite often on like the Green Giant. I'd play the sound clip, ho ho ho, Green Giant. I don't know if you can comment on this, but your thoughts on other companies, anything that actually stands out to you as far as
I have a lot of indie toys in my house. There are some really great designs. That Scoria is absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful toy. That Quake Wave, beautiful toy. There's a number of great pieces out there. I'm a big fan of little tapes from KFC. There's a couple of guys out there who probably just needed to tweak some designs because there's been a couple figures, but as soon as I open them. But I think my favorite in the last year has been that Scoria. Just pure awesome. And
I believe
that is
Brett
on that
got a
is
lemon.
simply amazing, and the love that was put into that is just
Brett-
you can love.
Brett
Brett
disagrees.
got a lemon on that one.
I totally disagree on that. I had more problems with that damn thing, and I'm still waiting on parts.
You haven't got the.
Shoulders, the knees, the gun, the head, all of them were messed up.
Now there are.
Well-
Go ahead.
Well, my whole thing is when third party, and I really like to call them indie toys more. When it comes to them actually going back and fixing the issue and addressing an issue and sending stuff like that out to repair them, I have to commend them on that. That's them taking money out of their own budget to fix what they screwed up to keep their name from getting. It's like Mastermind Collection. I mean,
I agree with you.
Mastermind, what they did.
I would agree with you if they did that, but they haven't. Have
Shoulders
all these
for mine.
issues not been addressed.
Well, whenever I've had an issue, I just to my retailer. I've never had to contact one of these to get any parts, so I
shouldn't have to,
It's
really.
been a little easier for me to place.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have to. On the level that or the method in which these are distributed, you really shouldn't have to contact the actual manufacturer. It's like with Hasbro. I mean, I've gotten some lemon products from Hasbro before, and I'll call Hasbro and saying, "Hey, my gold fire that I had. Now this right here is Night Beat at all." But I had a gold fire that you could just hold it like this, leg would just fall off. I mean, it's just the pinch joint was loose as it could be. I could have just took it back to the store. I didn't, but yeah, it's
Hey, Dawn,
yeah, rub it in my face.
no issues.
But it happens. It happens. I mean, manufacturing. I mean, I worked in manufacturing for 5 years and I was in injection metal stamping parts of the production process, so I understand a little bit of how it goes. You can produce quality, but every now and then it's inevitable. There's going to be through that aren't what you want to put out. My defect ratio as a manufacturer there, acceptable range for that company. I had Japanese management come up and tell me, how phenomenal my was, and yet every time that I back and physically rework parts that I had made, it was embarrassing, But it's inevitable because tooling can fail and parts slip by and you don't catch it until it happens. But you don't go to the manufacturer saying, "Hey, this thing broke right out of the package," or "This is missing." You go to your retailer where you purchase.
Well, that's very true, but you got companies like Fans Project ship everything directly out from their company, so therefore they are saying, "Hey, any issues, you have to contact us directly." But there are times that the retailers get the item that there's an issue with it. The retailer's like, "Hey, we need this to replace that," and sometimes like literally contact the manufacturer, you're going to get the part quicker. And sometimes that's how easier for them to say that instead of going through this long process and then they have to take their manpower just to mail to fix the issue to whoever they sent the part out to. If you think about it in the middle, sometimes they don't want to deal with that. So that's how they approach it. Which I can completely understand that, because you have to think of it on a budget-wise, anything to make. It's all the tooling to build it. That's what costs.
Also brings up another question that I have for Rik. Having worked for a large company like Hasbro and now starting a company, How does how I know you can't tell us how they handle it, but what are some countermeasures that you do to prevent yes prevent and defects? I mean, how do you cut down on what preventive measures behind the scenes? I don't think that's ever been.
Well, that wasn't my forte while I was at Hasbro. I see some of that, and of course, that's when you get your resin samples. Then you approve that. It goes to your plastic test shots. You approve that. You make your comments, tighten, and then you get your first. And once that looks good, you get a package sample, and then you say, okay. So there should always be a system in place. There will be for us. So, but I wasn't too with that while I was at Hasbro.
No, it's inevitable. Like with your company now, whenever you ship something, may not be 100% perfect. Like we said, we prefaced this before. It may not. It's that you're going to handle. Are you going to just send?
Answer a question that you hope you never have to answer.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is, having had the experience that my group has had, you don't run into a situation like that. But I'll tell you, if we ever do, we do the best thing for the consumer to make it right in their eyes.
That's, I guess, the answer I was looking for, because I have I've had on some of their defects, and quite honestly, I was at the answers of some of them. I mean, they pretty much deny any issues at all, and it's good
for us.
Yeah,
it has to be different for us. We're here. We go to conventions. We're fans. We want to shop for toys. We're on Facebook. We interact. We're friends with a lot of people in the community. We're going to be held to a different type of standard, I think, because the fact that we're stateside.
Yeah. Well, and it also helps. The trust issue is because you guys, for Hasbro, the people that officially made products that we, and so we're familiar with the type of work that these toys and these lines and products are in good hands. And
well, I hope so. I hope our name kind of opens the door for people to look in, and the reason why we haven't announced everyone up front, because we kind of want to let some of the work on its own and for people to look at it before we say, and this person and this person and this person are involved in this too. So we don't want it to be so much individual. We kind of want the work to stand on its own for a little bit.
I think that's the thing. I mean, we as collectors are the people that go out and buy these products. Like I said in my blog today, we buy what we like, and we speak with our wallets. And a lot of these companies will live and die by what we say with our wallets. And if we like your product from Hasbro, we will buy it regardless or not. It's put out there as, this is, this is, we made this for you. You have to buy this. No, I mean, people will buy to, and it's good that you understand that as a fan and collector yourself, in turn be seen in your product.
I think I've been on a journey, and kind of look at it as I've been on a spiritual quest. I've worked at a collectible toy store. I've worked at Toys R Us. I've been the guy who organizes the guy who attends the conventions, the guy who's worked for a company and made product. So I feel I have a very good frame of reference because I've seen so many different parts of this industry. To be honest, a lot of people have only seen the one side of we're the consumer. I've been fortunate enough to see the retail, manufacturing, the writer, producer. I've seen a lot of this industry, and I think that's kind of prepared me for in my career.
Anybody else have any questions?
When it comes to the date of actually having that out?
It's going to be many people who tune into this world of ours that don't necessarily tune in. So that's kind of why we picked the date. It's post holidays. It's before, so it's kind of the perfect time for us, as far as like a spot.
Awesome. I do want before we wrap up here to check out our sponsors, CapturedPrey.com. Great toys, great prices, great service, CapturedPrey.com, as well as Mega Toy Fan. I do want to thank you for joining us on TFYLP, and aside from our technical issues, I do apologize to you and to our listeners for the issues that we had, but overall, I think it's been a good show. I hope you've enjoyed your time here.
Definitely, yeah. I hope I your questions, and I hope I was informative, and maybe as we Kickstarter, once a lot more has been seen and some more names, maybe you'll have me on again.
I'd love to have you on. I mean, you're welcome at TFYLP Facebook group, on our Twitter, even on our website, on our forums. We'd on there at any time to answer questions, to post news. You're and we hope that that we're a friend of yours. So,
thank you. I kind of feel tonight with Burr Icy, because I've seen those posts for so long, and what that guy looks like. Awesome. So I kind of feel like I met someone famous.
He's sitting here and look at him. He's turning 3 shades of red now. But I mean, he does for repro labels and does phenomenal work at that. And
yeah, Mr. Aaron Black, I'm a big fan of his.
Yeah, we actually had a formative interview. Okay. Well, anything you want to say before we wrap up tonight?
Well, check us out on Facebook. We're on the Tumblr. Our website is playwiththistool.com. Coming up in 2 weeks, we'll be there. Willing to meet everybody. We'll probably be doing a fundraiser, and we're gonna show off some cool designs and do some.
Awesome. Now, your handle. Do you know what your Twitter handle is? Did you say?
At playwiththistool.
Okay. Or is that somebody else? I can't remember. I know I tweeted at you.
I don't handle everything. It's spelled out. Play with this too. TOO.
Okay.
It's spelled out.
We'll on Facebook and everything for people. Thank you for joining us this week, and I see Brett and Bertha Castle Grayskull. Che Guevara. Yeah. Thank you. And thank you, Rik, for joining us this week on TFYLP. We'll be taking a preview look at TFCon USA. TFYLP will be at TFCon USA. Stay tuned for any further updates that we'll have on that. And also on Twitter and Facebook. As also, the forums here recently with the ability to integrate with Facebook and log in with credentials if you'd like. So check that out as well at tftalk.net. But we'll see you next time on Transformers for your list. This is Weird Wolf signing out.
This has been Transformers for your listening pleasure, a presentation of .net. We'd like to thank you for listening and ask that you please rate us on your favorite podcast and share us with your friends. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TFYL Email us at podcast@tfylp.com. This is Paul, and on behalf of TFYLP, we'd like to thank you again for listening. And we hope you'll join us for another TFYLP.